Welcome back to Mimsy's Kitchen. We've got projects. Come on, let's get them done. Okay, so I've got the Amish Cookbook, and today we're doing Blackberry Cobbler or pie filling. And first thing was to get sugar and the cooking clear gel, I'll think of it in a minute, mixed up. So I did that, and we're going to get ready to check out the blackberries. Okay, so it calls for 9 1/3 cup of water and half a cup of lemon juice. And I took my sugar and the clear gel and mixed it up. And so then I'm adding the water slowly just to kind of get it started so it doesn't make a huge mess. And so I can kind of see how pasty it is. And I'm going to go ahead and turn on to medium high my burner and start adding the rest of that water. I guess you could pour it in all at one time, or you could start slow like I did and then pour the rest. It came together really well. It just kind of dissolved easily, and I just stirred and stirred and stirred. And I kept my lemon juice to the side because you don't add it yet. You hold it until you get this mixture dissolved and up to a bubble. I'm also making a homemade vanilla ice cream recipe that is an Ankerstrom. So that's running over here, but I've got to stay by the stove. And I also noticed that the pot that I was using right there was not going to hold all the mixture and the berries. So I changed to this great big stock pot. And it looks like it's kind of too big, but it's going to work. So now I'm changing out my whisk and getting a big spoon since I've got such a much bigger pot. And we'll just keep stirring and stirring and stirring until this gets bubbly. Now it's getting really hot. It's thickening up, and I'm just been stirring and stirring and stirring. I'd say probably 10 minutes. And so now that it's bubbling, I'm adding my lemon juice. And I'm just going to keep stirring until it comes back to a boil. And then once it boils, you boil it for 1 full minute. And we'll skip over all that. You get the point. Okay, so that's been about a minute. And I'm starting to add a few blackberries at a time. And then I'm just going to start dumping them in there. But I didn't want it to splash and make a big mess. So I'm just kind of taking my time a little bit. And just kind of folding them in. You don't want to mash them up too much. I guess you could, but I didn't. I wanted them to stay whole. So I'm adding the blackberries in, and I'm just stirring a little as I go. And we'll get this pot full in just a moment, and then I'll show you what happens to it next. Look at it, it's already changing the color. It's great. It smells good. And that was the rest of the blackberries going in. So we'll just work on that for a minute and just fold them on in there, stir them a little bit, just kind of back and forth. Just getting them submerged, making sure there's not any pieces of leaf. I think I see a piece of leaf or something I need to dig out of there. They were washed, but you always miss something. But thankfully, it kind of floated up where I could see it, and I was able to get it easily. Okay, so the blackberries are ready. The ice cream's ready. It's like a soft serve until you refreeze. And so I'm adding it to a bucket that I've been doing a couple of batches in. I'm trying to get this bucket full for Thanksgiving. And so I'm just adding to it each day as I make a batch. And now we're ready to can this. We want to sanitize our jars in some boiling water, and then we'll empty those and fill them after we check each rim to make sure there's no cracks. I started using those 4-jar lids, and they work fine on ball jars and or mason jars, any other jar, I seem to have pop-offs. I've got 2 Golden Harvest in there I'm going to try and see what happens. But getting my heat going, getting my jar sanitized, seeing if this is going to thicken up anymore. It's not very thick, in my opinion. But I followed the directions, so we're just going to go with it. Good stuff. So as you saw, I've got ice cream going on, cobblers going on. I've got more apples to peel, peppers from the garden. There's apples that have been cooking in the crock pot. I've already made 1 batch of applesauce out of that. And got my sourdough fed. So we'll see how that goes. And my jars. Everything's rocking on. So I wanted to show you something else. The other day, I used that same recipe, or not the same, but the recipe from the Amish Canning book. And I did the apples. And they didn't look as thick either. You can see it's bubbling. So I don't know that I'll ever use that recipe again. I just thought it might be better to use that cook type clear gel. But I don't know. The recipe that I'm following from the Amish cookbook is not working out the way I wanted it to. So anyway, you can see I've been busy restocking shelves and doing all the things. And there's all my wheat down here. And so then I've seasoned my cast iron for the season. So we're good. Okay, so I have my hot jars out. I've already checked all of my rims. I wanted to make absolutely sure I didn't feel any nicks. I've got my funnel, my lifters, my ladle, and I'm using a black straight spatula as a debubbler today because I don't want my debubbler stained. Won't see it with the black. So I'm going to fill the jars, and we're going to go to the correct headspace, which is 1 inch. Then we're going to wipe our rims and apply our lids and rings. Okay, so I filled my jar about right here with actual berries, and then the rest I filled in with the goodie. And I've got my ladle sitting there, so let me move that over. And then I'm just going to debubble the best I can. It's going to have some bubbles. There's nothing you can do about that, but it's just a matter of getting it done and making sure that you've got enough liquid or berry to hit your headspace. And so doing that made mine lower just a little bit. So I'm going to add a couple berries and just see. There we go. That's more like it. Mash those down. Okay. Perfect. All right. Just a tiny bit over, not much. I can take a spoon and get that out. So there we go. I took 2 berries out and that put it back at the right spot. Okay, so I'll wipe that jar and put a lid and ring on it. You can just use plain vinegar on a cloth. Now this is my homemade mixture. This is my vinegar with some citrus in it and a little bit of alcohol. Okay, so what I ended up with was 3 quarts, a pint and a half of actual cobbler, and 2 quart jars of blackberry syrup. But I'm not going to waste. I'm going to can it. I'm just cleaning my rim here. I'm going to can it. This is good for ice cream toppings or pancakes, waffles, things like that. The lid on there finger tight, and these are ready to go into the canner. So, now I'm just using my pressure canner as a water bath. I'm not going to pressure can these. They will water bath. And there we go. Everything's in there. I'm going to need to add a little bit more water so that it covers over 1 inch. Okay, now those are completely submerged. I'm going to let it come back up to a boil, put my lid on it, cut my heat down, and let it do a simmery roll boil. Not a hard boil, but you know, a good boil for 35 minutes. Okay guys, that's it for today. Lots of projects. Ice cream, apples, blackberries, all the things. So now it's time to clean up the kitchen again and get ready to cook supper for poor boy and one of my daughters and granddaughters. So, and mom. Can't forget mom. So I gotta get busy. Happy homesteading, y'all. Be blessed. Catch you next time.